Time for dinner, Leviticus 23. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, The appointed times of Jehovah, which you are to proclaim as set-apart gatherings, my appointed times are these. 6 days work is done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest, a set-apart gathering. You do no work, it is a Sabbath to Jehovah in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Jehovah, set-apart gatherings which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. In the first new moon, on the 14th day of the new moon, between the evening, it is the Pesach to Jehovah. And on the 15th day of this new moon is the festival of Matzah to Jehovah. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. On the first day you have a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Jehovah for 7 days. On the 7th day it is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, When you come into the land which I give to you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Jehovah for your acceptance. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest waves it. And on that day, when you wave the sheaf, you shall prepare a male lamb, a year old, a perfect one, as an ascending offering to Jehovah. And its grain offering 2 lengths of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Jehovah, a sweet fragrance, and its drink offering 1/4 of a hin of wine. And you do not eat bread, or roasted grain, or fresh grain, until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Elohim, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourselves 7 completed Sabbaths. Until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering to Jehovah. Bring from your dwellings for a wave offering 2 loaves of bread, of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour. They are baked with leaven, first fruits to Jehovah. And besides the bread, you shall bring the 7 lambs a year old, perfect ones, and 1 young bull and 2 rams. They are an ascending offering to Jehovah, with their grain offering and their drink offering, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Jehovah. And you shall offer 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs, a year old, as a slaughter of peace offerings. And the priest shall wave them, besides the bread of the first fruits, as a wave offering before Jehovah. Besides the 2 lambs, they are set apart to Jehovah for the priest. And on this same day you shall proclaim a set-apart gathering for yourselves. You do no servile work on it, a law forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field when you reap, and do not gather any gleaning from your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am Jehovah your Elohim. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you have a rest, a remembrance of teruah, a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Jehovah. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, On the 10th day of the 7th new moon is Yom Kippurim. It shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall afflict your beings, and shall bring an offering made by fire to Jehovah. And you do no work on the same day, for it is Yom Kippurim, to make atonement for you before Jehovah your Elohim. For any being who is not afflicted on the same day, he shall be cut off from his people. And any being who does any work on the same day, that being I shall destroy from the midst of his people. You do not work, a law forever, throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is a Sabbath of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings. On the 9th day of the new moon at evening, from evening to evening, you observe your Sabbath. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th new moon is the festival of Sukkot for the 7 days to Jehovah. On the first day it is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Jehovah. On the 8th day there shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Jehovah. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. These are the appointed times of Jehovah, which you proclaim as set-apart gatherings, to bring an offering made by fire to Jehovah, an ascending offering and a grain offering, a slaughtering and drink offering as commanded for every day, besides the Sabbaths of Jehovah, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings which you give to Jehovah. On the 15th day of the 7th new moon, when you gather in the fruit of the land, celebrate the festival of Jehovah for 7 days. On the first day it is a rest, and on the 8th day is a rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the first day the fruit of good trees, branches of palm trees, twigs of leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Jehovah your Elohim for 7 days. And you shall celebrate it as a festival to Jehovah for 7 days in the year, a law forever in your generations. Celebrate it in the 7th new moon. Dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native born in Israel dwell in booths, so that your generations know that I made the children of Israel dwell in booths where I brought them out of the land of Mizraim. I am Jehovah your Elohim. Thus did Moshe speak of the appointed times of Jehovah to the children of Israel. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring to you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, to make the lamps burn continually. Outside the veil of the witness in the tent of appointment, Aaron is to arrange it from evening until morning before Jehovah continually, a law forever throughout your generations. He is to arrange the lamps on the clean gold lampstands before Jehovah continually. And you shall take fine flour and bake 12 cakes with it, 2/10 of an ephah in each cake. And you shall set them in 2 rows, 6 in a row, on the clean table before Jehovah. And you shall put clear frankincense on each row, and it shall be on the bread as a remembrance portion, an offering made by fire to Jehovah. On every Sabbath he is to arrange it before Jehovah continually, from the children of Israel, an everlasting covenant. And it shall be for Aaron and his sons, that they shall eat it in the set-apart place, because it is most set apart to him, for the offering of Jehovah, made by fire, an everlasting law. And the son of a Yisraelite woman, whose father was a Mizraim man, went out among the children of Israel. And the Yisrael woman's son and a man of Israel strove in the camp. And the Yisraelite woman says, son blasphemes the name and cursed. So they brought him to Moshe. Now his mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Debri, of the tribe of Dan. And they put him under guard, that it might be declared to them at the mouth of Jehovah. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, bring the one who has cursed outside the camp, and all those who heard him shall lay their hands on his head, and all the congregation shall stone him. And speak to the children of Israel, saying, anyone who curses his Elohim shall bear his son, and he who blasphemes the name of Jehovah shall certainly be put to death. And all the congregation certainly stone him, the stranger as well as the native. When he blasphemes the name, he is put to death. And a man who strikes the being of any man shall certainly be put to death. And he who strikes a beast repays it body for body. And when a man inflicts a blemish upon his neighbor, he has done so, it is done to him, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he inflicts a blemish upon him, so it is done to him. And he who strikes a beast repays it, and he who strikes a man to death is put to death. You are to save one right ruling for the stranger and for the native, for I am Jehovah your Elohim. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, and they brought the one who cursed outside the camp and stoned him with stones. And the children of Israel did as Jehovah commanded Moshe. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, then the land shall observe a Sabbath to Jehovah. 6 years you sow your field, and 6 years you prune your vineyard and gather in its fruits. But on the 7th year, the land is to have a Sabbath of rest, a Sabbath to Jehovah. Do not sow your field, and do not prune your vineyard. Do not reap what grows of its own of your harvest, and do not gather the grapes of your unpruned vine, for it is a year of rest for the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be to you for food, for you and your servant, and for your female servant and your hired servant, and for the stranger who sojourns with you, and for your livestock and the beasts that are in your land. All the crops are for food. And you shall count seven Sabbaths of years for yourself, 7 times 7 years. And the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be to you 49 years. You shall then sound a shofar sound on the 10th day of the 7th new moon on Yom HaKippurim. Cause a shofar to sound through all your land. And you shall set the 15th year apart and proclaim release throughout all the land to all its inhabitants. It is a Yobel for you, and each of you shall return to his possession, and each of you return to his clan. The 15th year is a Yobel to you. Do not sow, nor reap what grows of its own, nor gather from its unpruned vine. It is a Yobel, it is set apart to you. Eat from the field its crops. In the year of this Yobel, let each one of you return to his possession. And when you sell whatever to your neighbor, or buy from the land of your neighbor, do not exploit one another. According to the number of years after the Yobel, You buy from your neighbor in according to the number of years of the crops he sells to you. According to the greater number of years, you increase its price, and according to the fewer number of years, you diminish the price, because he sells to you according to the number of years of the crops. And do not oppress one another, but you shall fear your Elohim, for I am Jehovah your Elohim. And you shall do my laws and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. And you shall dwell in the land in safety. And the land shall yield its fruit, and you shall eat it to satisfaction, and shall dwell there in safety. And since you might say, what do we eat in the 7th year, since we do not sow nor gather in our crops? Therefore, I have commanded my blessing on you in the 6th year, and it shall be forth a crop for 3 years. And you shall sow in the 8th year, and eat of the old crop until the 9th year. Eat of the old until its crop comes in. And the land is not to be sold beyond reclaim, for the land is mine, for you are sojourners and settlers with me. And provide for a redemption for the land in all the land of your possession. When your brother becomes poor and has sold some of his possession, and his redeemer, a close relative, comes to redeem it, then he shall redeem what his brother sold. And when the man has no one to redeem it, but he himself becomes able to redeem it, then let him count the years since its sale and return the remainder to the man whom he sold it, that he shall return to his possession. And if his hand has not found enough to give back to him, then what was sold shall remain in the hand of him who bought it until the year of Yobel. And it shall be released in the Yobel, and he shall return to his possession. And when a man sells a house in the walled city, that his right of redemption shall be at the end of the year after it is sold. His right of redemption lasts a year. But if it is not redeemed within a complete year, then the house in the walled city shall be established beyond reclaim to the buyer of it. Throughout his generations, it is not released in the Yobel. The houses of villages, however, which have no wall around them, are reckoned as the field of the country. A right of a redemption belongs to it, and they are released in the Yobel. As for the cities of the Levites and the houses in the cities of their possession, the Levites have a right of redemption forever, and that which is redeemed from the Levites, both the sale of the house and the city of the possession, shall be released in the year of the Yobel, because the houses and the cities of the Levites are their possession in the midst of the children of Israel. But the field of the open land of their cities is not sold, for it is their everlasting possession. And when your brother becomes poor, and his hand has failed with you, then you shall strengthen him, and he shall live with you like a stranger or a sojourner. Take no interest from him or profit, but you shall fear your Elohim, and your brother shall live with you. Do not lend him your silver on interest, and do not lend him your food for profit. I am Jehovah your Elohim. I brought you out of the land of Mizraim, to give you the land of Canaan to be your Elohim. And when your brother who dwells by you becomes poor and sells himself to you, do not make him serve as a slave, but as a hired servant. As a settler, he is with you and serves you until the year of Yobel. And then he shall leave you, he and his children with him, and shall return to his own clan, even return to the possession of his fathers. For they are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Mizraim. They are not sold as slaves. Do not rule over him with harshness, but you shall fear your Elohim. And your male and female slaves, whom you have from the nations that are around you, from them you buy male and female slaves. and also from the sons of the strangers sojourning among you. From them you buy, and from their clans, who are with you. They which shall bring forth in your land, they shall be your property, and you shall take them in the inheritance of your children after you, to inherit them as a possession. They are your slaves for all time. But after your brothers, the children of Israel, do not rule with harshness over one another. Now, when a sojourner or a settler with you becomes rich, and your brothers with him become poor, and sells him to the settler or sojourner with you, or to a member of the sojourner's clan, after he has been sold, there is a right of redemption to him. One of the brothers does redeem him, or his uncle's son does redeem him, or anyone who is a close relative to him and his clan does redeem him, or if he is able, then he shall redeem himself. And he shall reckon with him who bought him. The price of his release shall be according to the number of years, from the year that he was sold to him until the year of Yobel. As the days of a hired servant, it is with him. If there are yet many years according to them, he repays the price of his redemption from the silver of his purchase. And if few years are left until the year of Yobel, then he shall reckon with him, and according to his years he repays him the price of his redemption. He is with him as a yearly hired servant, and he does not rule with harshness over him before your eyes. And if he is not redeemed in these years, then he shall be released in the year of the Yobel, he and his children with him. Because the children of Israel are servants to me, they are my servants, whom I bought out of the land of Mizraim. I am Jehovah, your Elohim.